Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, the sun. This is Doc G. Today we're going to talk about what happened in Finland, in Helsinki, Finland. And we're going to actually bring up about the 12 indictments as well. Okay, because it is important that you guys understand just what these crooked Democrats are doing. Okay, so then I had to get a dog out of here. All right, because it is pretty obvious what they're doing. Okay, first of all, Trump is in England, and all of a sudden Rosenstein comes out with these 12 indictments. Now we later find out that these indictments were from a report that was a year and a half ago. Okay, and that it pretty much was the same thing, minus the fact that it mentions that conservatives and Republicans were actually being pursued as well. So that was not in there. So it was very heavily weighed into one aspect. So you have to ask yourself why. Because remember I told you, whenever you're dealing with a Democrat, Democrats never do things up front and above board. Never. Okay. So they're bringing up indictments just as Trump is ready to head to Helsinki. Why? Why? They were trying to create what I say is a no-win scenario for them. Say, oh, Trump doesn't need to go there, why not? But that was the narrative that they were trying to push. Yeah, we want him not to go. Actually, they knew he was going to go. But then when he was there, what was the narrative afterwards? Say he ruined America, oh my God. Okay, they already had their narrative already preset. Okay, now, they thought they had Trump trapped. That's what you need to understand. They thought they had Trump trapped. Brennan, Hillary Clinton, Obama, the intelligence agencies, they need Trump to agree with the fact that the intelligence agencies are correct, that the intelligence agencies of the United States are not corrupt. Because if they can do that, then you won't need to investigate Hillary Clinton, the intelligence agencies, Barack Obama. You don't need to investigate any of them. It doesn't mean that they won't stop investigating you. But if you agree that these intelligence agencies are correct and that it's all about Obama, then you don't need to go into Hillary Clinton. You don't need to do any more research into Barack Obama because the intelligence agencies stated that they had nothing to do with it. You already agreed with that, Mr. President. Okay? But Trump wouldn't fall for the trap because he knows that they're heavily involved. He knows it. So the narrative was already set that Trump screwed up. Oh my God! So you had the conservatives such as Jeff Flake, McCain. It's interesting that McCain happened to be able to speak. The guy's supposedly on a deathbed, but there he is, typing away and tweeting away that Trump's the worst. It's the worst thing in American history. Okay. All right. He knows what's really going on. But there's a couple things that are really going on here that you got to be aware of now. Trump's not going to trap him inside of this whole environment. He's going to trap Mueller inside of this whole environment and say, now we're not going to let you out. We know there's nothing against us. Now you are staying in there until you actually either come up with real indictments or you close the case. We are going to embarrass you now. So they're going to eventually, the tables are going to eventually turn on that. Okay, so you watch how that's happening, okay? I can see it to that matter because everything they try to throw everything. What's this, Maria Butina or whatnot? You watch. We'll find out information on that later. Trump leaves Finland, and as he's leaving Finland, supposedly a Russian spy gets arrested who also had ties to the NRA. Woo! We'll find out information about that later. Now, what was really good about what was happening there was in Finland was we saw that Putin and Trump both fought back. Boom, boom, boom. My favorite moment had to be when Putin said, great, we have a treaty. Mueller can come over to our country. We will get those 12 people that you want. You can interview them. You can do everything you want. Prosecute them. Do whatever. You do that in our country. But then we get to do the same thing. Okay? We get to interview a certain somebody. What's his name? Blauer or something like that. I'll have to look at the name again. I forget it. He and his Soros invested group made $1.5 billion, and then the $400 million they invested into the Hillary Clinton fund. Yeah, that was nowhere to be spoken of in the mainstream media. Nowhere. They kind of just went, whew, they blew past that. Interesting. Yeah, Russian oligarchs, they're giving multi-millions. Multi-millions. I did a Periscope one time where I just did a 2-page report on the Russian oligarchs and how they were giving money to Hillary Clinton. What happened? They took down my video 7 times. So I knew I was on the money. 7 times. I did. Let's see if I can find it, because it was good. Okay. And it talks about how Mueller was involved, all of that good stuff. Let me see if I can. PowerPoint. There we go. Let me see if I can come up with it, because it was really good. Right? And so now, there were some conservatives that, like Varney and some of these people I like that are on the media, that were like, oh, I'm not sure if that was a good step by President Trump. Relax. Relax. Okay? Trump knows what he's doing. Okay? He and Putin just bitch slapped the shit out of him. Okay? Here we go. I found it, actually. Wow. So let me see if I can actually start it, view it. Perfect. Okay. There we go. Good. So I made this little PowerPoint presentation, but it was only, let's see if I can turn it. I can't turn it? Really? Almost there. So, I made this presentation of Mueller being involved with Rusal, which was actually Oleg Deripaska's company. Them trying to associate with Iran and Barry Levinson, them speaking with the Endeavor Group, which is headed by Adam Waldman, the $6 million actually given to Senator Mark Warner. They pay him through a company called Yandex, Skolkovo project, known as the Russian Silicon Valley. They stole USA secrets, stole bribed military technology. Rusnano, which was a state-owned company, pays John Podesta 75,000 shares in a Boston-filled company. It's a nuclear company called Jules Unlimited. And they also pay Hillary Clinton $25 million so that they can actually steal the secrets to Satan II. Okay, and that's where they end up taking it off, because I said that Satan II project that you saw, that big old missile, that was their way of letting Trump know, we have your secrets, and Hillary Clinton was paid for it. So Hillary Clinton was paid, and Victor Vekselberg was the one that actually gave the money. Victor Vekselberg is the actually CEO of Skolkovo. Okay? All right, so I went through this whole particular project before. They hated it so much they took it down. Okay? So the amount of people on the Democratic Party that are actually dealing with Russian oligarchs is extremely high. Okay? Including John McCain. Remember, John McCain was involved with Rick Davis, okay, and this was probably between 2004 and 2009, and Oleg Deripaska, and George Soros, and Rick Davis was, remember Davis, they always kind of make it sound like Rick Davis is just an assistant to Manafort. Look it up. He was the president. He also was the campaign manager 2 times for John McCain. The Davis Manafort group. Davis was hardly an assistant. He's a multimillionaire. Okay? Davis Manafort group. They are a they are an activist group, mostly for conservatives, as for example the John Podesta and the Podesta group was mainly for Democrats, but they interacted, okay? And the Davis Manafort group was involved in both Crimea as well as Montenegro and Serbia. They created that disturbance in order to separate Montenegro. And John McCain was at the heart of that bullshit. Okay? And it took 3 people in particular to get rid of that. The Rothschilds, Soros, and Deripaska. All Khazarian pagans, yeah? By the way, wonder if there's a similarity there. And Oleg Deripaska bought out all of the aluminum in Montenegro. That was 80% of their exports from Montenegro was aluminum. Boom. Deripaska got it. The oil, that was Soros. And then, of course, the banking, that was Rothschilds. Okay? And what happened in 2017? Do you remember what happened? Montenegro wanted to become part of the NATO. Do you remember that? And John McCain going off on Rand Paul because Rand Paul voted against it. Now, I thought that they've already been accepted in 100%. They haven't. I found this out just recently, and it's because Montenegro doesn't want to give up their name, and I didn't know that their name is something like the Republic formerly known as Yugoslavia. They don't want to give that up. I don't know why, but the EU or NATO, excuse me, says that is the hindrance, that they must actually give that up. Wow, I didn't know that. I saw that when I was watching the NATO summit last week. I was like, oh, I thought they were 100% in. They're not 100% in. But John McCain was at the heart of that bullshit. Okay, he's also at the heart of that bullshit with Georgia as well. Now, I need you to understand both sides of the argument here. The West, NATO, was angry at the whole USSR and broke it up, wanted it broken up, said that you just can't expand like that. Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, that makes sense. You don't want them expanding. And Russia's doing the same thing, saying, yeah, but you need to abide by the same rules. You're trying to land grab as well. You're trying to Montenegro, you want to do Ukraine, you want to do Georgia. He goes, all you're going to do is create a war. Fair enough, on his side as well. In other words, what's good for the goose is also good for the gander. Okay? We also talk about the pipelines. We talked about these pipelines long before President Trump actually brought it up. Okay, there's 3 sets of pipelines that are running out of Russia. The first one is that big one that President Trump is talking about. It runs from northern Russia. It goes through like Belarus, Poland, and that's where Trump is able to get some energy there. All the way into Germany. Okay, all the way into Germany. Okay, the second one is the one that's running through Turkey, up through little parts of Georgia, down into Azerbaijan. And it goes right into the Caspian Sea. And the third one is the one that they're building. That's the one that the U.S. Deep State tried to overthrow Turkey. Okay? They tried to overthrow them. Because what happened was, initially he wanted to go through Crimea. It would have been much cheaper to go through Crimea all the way into Eastern Europe. It saved him billions. It would have saved him billions. But the U.S. got involved with Manafort and Podesta Group to try to stop that. So they hold a referendum, and then the next thing, boom, they say they want to be Russian. The Russians come across and possess it. And the Americans couldn't stop it. Okay. Now, he runs that pipeline down into, it's called actually the Turkish pipeline, into the Black Sea, and it goes all the way into now Greece. And in late 2016, I think it was, there was a coup attempt to try to overthrow Erdogan. It failed. Okay? And that would have replaced Erdogan, and they would have stopped that pipeline. And that pipeline was to go and supply all of Eastern Europe. That was the whole reason why they wanted Montenegro, to block it. Okay? You had certain countries in there that are trying to block it. So what does he do? He makes an agreement with Greece in order to actually help them, because Greece is failing. In the EU, they're failing. Says, you know what? We will help you get back on your feet, but we need your pipeline. We need to run pipeline across your country. And they agree. They're like, fuck, we're failing. Okay, now he has a couple options. He can actually go into the Adriatic and go into Italy. He can go up. Okay, but he has, you know, they're trying to block it. That's what that was the whole reason why they wanted Montenegro, so they can actually sell oil cheaper than what Putin was selling it. 70% of all the exports that's leaving Russia is oil and gas. And they want to shut him down. This is, remember, it's a game. It's not just a game of possession. It's a game of trying to shut off people's exports. Remember, they tried to do that in America too. Shut off our exports by rules, regulations, restrictions. Okay? Try to have organizations control our, what we call our sovereignty. The TPP, Trump shut that down before it even began. That would have been a disaster. NAFTA, Trump's trying to shut that down. He will do that politically. You watch how he shuts that down. Okay, we'll talk about that a little bit later, because now he's going to use it as a power tool against AMLO. AMLO is just the acronym for Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador. It's the new communist dictator. Okay, that's in Mexico. So he's going to be using that as a big old chip. Okay, the other one, the Paris Climate Accord Agreement, had nothing to do with climate change. It had to do with actually controlling the every single manufacturing company in the United States and taxing them on that. And then the elites and globalists would have made more and more money. And not only have a carbon tax, but take that carbon tax and actually put it on the New York Stock Exchange as well. So they would have made money 2 times. Are you kidding me? But that's how they thought. And who's all part of that? You got people like Soros group involved with that, and Gore. They're all part of that. Don't you find it interesting that Gore's actually married to, Gore's child is married to a Soros? No, married to a Schiff. Sorry, Schiff, same family. I wasn't sure if that was the same family, that same Schiff family that's related back to the Rothschilds. But remember, aristocrats only marry aristocrats. And who else is also married to a Schiff, or was married to a Schiff? It was George Soros' son was married to a Schiff. Who funded Adam Schiff's run in Congress? George Soros. It's all in the family. So he is that Schiff, Adam Schiff, that buggy-eyed son of a bitch is part of the same Schiff family that's related right back into the history of the Rothschilds. Ugh. Okay? I'm saying, oligarch, remember that. I need you to understand. Aristocrats only marry aristocrats. Okay? So, Al Gore is now into that family. Soros was into that family. Okay? And Schiff is kind of just pretending he's a nobody. He's more than just a nobody. All right? All right. So anyway, I keep staring at Mark Warner there because that really bothers me that that guy's made almost $60 million through Russian money and no one ever says shit. Made $6 million of payment through Yandex. Yandex is kind of like the Russian Google. Okay? It's kind of like a way to launder money. The same thing that is being used with Iraq. Remember, even though the Rothschilds own the central banking system, the New York I need you to understand that our U.S. government has still a lot of control in it. It has a lot of control in it, meaning computer-wise. We can shut other companies down. We can shut other countries down from transferring money. But Iran is not part of that system. They were one of 6 countries, including North Korea. Iran, they're not part of it. Remember when Libya wasn't part of it? Yeah. All right. So Iran is not part of that central banking system. So what I'm telling you is the Iran nuclear deal had nothing to do with actually nuclear weapons. Because you don't pay somebody $150 billion up front that happens to be a bad actor unless they've actually removed those weapons. This is what we call a buy-in fee. Now that the U.S. pulled out, Iran's pissed off, their people are protesting, and now Iran wants Germany, France, and England, and the other 2 countries, communist countries by the way, China and Russia, to also pay more money. Because Trump said, no way, we're shutting you down. It was a laundering, it was a way for them to launder money, guys. That's all it was. It was a laundering facility. And Trump shut it down. He will not say that because he's too smart. He's not going to tell the American people that. He's just going to say, oh, they have nuclear weapons, and guess what? They always had. That's why it was easy to do that. Do you think that Netanyahu just got those photos and got those videos? That was given to him by the probably by Pompeo and whatnot, and they probably went there and said, you got to play this, because he played it a day or 2 just before Trump actually said, yeah, we're done. As soon as he actually said we're done, he meets with France in a state dinner. Germany flies over. He meets with England. They're all doing that whole Tanod, you have to rethink Tanod. He's not rethinking. He goes up to the G7. They're still begging him to come to reconsider because they were losing multi-billions of dollars. Okay, they were losing multi-billions. It was a way for them to use corruption for money. Another reason, too, why cryptocurrency was also being used. As you heard, I forgot who said that. I'm going to have to go back. One of the ways that we were actually laundering money was through cryptocurrency. Ain't that amazing? Okay. So, now we got all of this kind of jumbo mess I just gave everybody because I just threw a lot right at you. Let's go back and understand. Each step of the way, they're trying to find a way to either nail Trump or remove or hide the corruption that they have already been involved in. Mueller is a paintbrush. That's all he is. He's a fix-it man. His primary job is to fix the problems created by the DNC and anybody else as well. Okay? All right? Do you think that they're after Manafort really for incidences that happened 12 years ago? But he refuses to bow down and kiss their ass, and he wants to do a countersuit. So they're like, yeah, boom, we're going to put you in jail. And they're going to make up some bullshit. The second judge, that was A different judge that did that. By the way, the differences in the lawsuit between that and the lawsuit that was filed in D.C. were very slight differences. That D.C. judge gave him a bitch slapping. Said, we know what you're trying to do. You're trying to intimidate someone so that they can turn on the President of the United States. That's what you're doing. We understand what you're trying to do. Okay? The same thing. Why do you find it odd that Flynn's like, yeah, send me to court, or send me to jail, go ahead. And they refuse? This is a third time they refuse to sentence him? He knows if he goes to jail, he's going to be actually pardoned. He'll be out, and he will squawk like a bird. And that's what Mueller's afraid of. He does not want Flynn to squawk. Nope. Does not want him to squawk. That's why he's not being sentenced. And Coffee Boy Papadopoulos, nothing there. Okay? You got to look at these indictments that they could like, well, he's got all these indictments, 25 Russians and 25 Russians of people that will never see a day in court. Bullshit names. Names they probably got from a Rolodex. Okay? It's just horseshit. They try to go after names of people that are slightly involved with Trump, but way, way more involved with Hillary Clinton, such as Paul Manafort and the Davis Manafort group that was involved heavily in Crimea and Montenegro and in Uranium One. Oof. They don't want anyone touching that Uranium One thing. We haven't even got to that yet. The amount of corruption with Uranium One, and yes, the Russians are involved, Mueller's involved, Rosenstein's involved. There's so many people. Who else is heavily involved? John Brennan. Okay. Clapper. Obama. Because Obama is the one that actually put Amin Nabi Mir as the director of the CFIUS group. Two-time president of the Islamic Brotherhood for Children. Really? Odd. They ended up allowing a group called Gulf Teener to actually do a 35-year lease in one of our most private bases, Cape Canaveral. And they just signed the lease. The same people, Gulf Teener, just signed one in Delaware. I think it's called Wilmington. Okay, just signed it. It's like a 50-year lease. Good old Democrats, corruption. Same people. All right? There's a lot of corruption. They don't even want to go into that. All the land grabbing, because now once you do that, now then you start going into the land grabbing. You start going into BLM. You start going into Lavoy Finicum and who got shot. You go into the Bundys, okay? Yeah, you go into a bunch of action. It really starts to spread. You start going into the lawsuit that's coming up about the dusky gopher frog. All this bullshit. All relates all of it to it because what they're trying to do is steal land. Okay, you stole it by monumentizing. Try to say that word 5 times. Monumentizing land. Barack Obama monumentized 544 million acres. Presidents 1 through 43 monumentized 268 million acres. Barack Obama almost doubled that. So Trump proclamation actually gave back Utah 1.33 million acres. He may be the first president in history that actually gives land back and has a negative land grab value. Wouldn't that be amazing if Trump's the first person that actually has a negative land grab value to his name? Whoa, he could be. And he starts giving land back to the people. We're going to find out so much. And it's just getting nastier and nastier and nastier. And everything's about money and power. And remember, whenever the Democrats are doing something, it's not for the reason they're always telling you. You always got to dig deeper and deeper and deeper. All right. Peace out. Talk to you.